welcome everyone to another session of the Espresso series. Look, we're really rapt to have two really great guests today. Obviously, we've got Tom Panos, the #1 real estate coach in Australia, and I think probably taking on the world as well, not far away from cracking the world. And also his protege, Josh Tesolin, who I was actually talking to someone the other day, a #1 real estate agent in Australia, but we get a lot of data from the US as well. I'm not sure that there's anyone in the US that's doing as much business as you. So, hey, welcome, guys. It's great to have you on board for our Espresso series.
Thanks so much. You're about to know what it is again. So myself and Tom, we are looking forward to it. #1 coach, #1 agent, #1 review platform. Let's go.
Beautiful. And we did say before, everyone, that the three of us have got a bit of a problem that we like to talk. So we're going to try not talk over each other. And but let's see how it goes. It might heat up a bit, and who knows where this bloody thing goes. But hey, Tom, I really want to ask you first. I mean, Josh has been in the business 3 years. You've been his coach for I assume, most of that time. He's had a smashing year. He's up to 160 properties in the last 12 months. Were you surprised by how quickly he grew, and also by the fact that he won in his 3rd year? He won the Rate My Agent of the Year award. Did that surprise you, or did you know that? Did you predict that? What did you think?
Okay, so Mark, there's 2 parts to it, and thanks, Mark, for having me on, by the way.
Pleasure.
So there's 2 parts to it. Part #1 is, was I surprised? I was at the event. I came along to the event, you know, and I came along to the event because I actually thought he's going to win it. Like, I actually flew to Melbourne, right? He's going to win it. And the reason I say it is that, Mark, look, there's not many people, like a lot of people can claim that, you know, they write this and that. But with Josh, he doesn't have an army of 4 or 5 or 6 people that are doing the work and then sort of saying, hey, here are my figures. This was a genuine situation of having one assistant, right? So I thought to myself, you know what, at the end of the day, like, if fairness is going to prevail, he should win it because he's actually putting all those deals together. He's getting those listings, and he's the one that's getting the clients that are raving about him because he's going to the listing presentation, and at the end of the 3 months, those clients are saying, yes, what you said you do, you delivered yourself. And the second reason why I thought he deserved it and why I thought he was going to win it is his capacity. I mean, what he does in 6 months is what some other very successful agents do in a year or 2. So he does the volume. We're talking about a guy who was on track for the year to do, you know, I think close to 200 deals, you know, 180, 190 thereabouts, right? So there's a lot of deals there. So I wasn't surprised. And I wasn't surprised because I know he's a guy of integrity, and I know that your awards are based on reviews. And I thought to myself, you know, he's not the sort of guy that goes in, over promises, under delivers, gets a deal done, but has a disgruntled, you know, client left. So I thought to myself, he ticks all the boxes. The first part of your question, which is, did I expect him to do it so quickly? Yes, because I do get a lot of real estate. I was surprised. I do get a lot of, Mark, you know, I get a lot of real estate agents that talk the talk. They watch all the Gary V videos and they talk about the hustle and they talk about, you know, I'm going to change the world. So I'm used to hearing people say it. I'm not used to seeing people do it. So it's easy for me to say, here's another guy, right? But one thing is, his audio matches his video. I mean, there isn't many people that walk into their home at 10 o'clock at night, right? And fundamentally, he pretty much, like, if people were getting home at 7 o'clock at night, they would probably take him 5 or 7 years to do it. But he was doing it at 10 o'clock. He was a little bit like, he's got the work ethic of Elon Musk. Elon Musk said to Joe Rogan the other day, I work 120 hours a week because it doubles my productivity versus my competitors. And I think, you know, I think that's where Josh is, you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. And look, from our point of view, what we were looking at from a business, from Rate My Agent, was that, as you say, he walks the walk, and it's not just the deals. I was so impressed personally, I think, and we've seen it across our platform, but 113 sales and 111 reviews from those vendors, and then getting the 2 final reviews, I think 2 days after the awards were announced. That I think is the full, the full gamut. You can list and sell, but listing and selling and offering that level of service was really impressive. Hey, Josh, we don't need to give you a big head. I don't.
Boys,
that's enough. That's enough talking you bloody up. I think everyone talks you up, or you talk yourself up enough.
I do.
But what I'm really interested in is this relationship. That symbiotic relationship. That you have with Tom.
Yep.
So when has Tom played? I mean, obviously all the way through your career, but when do you rely on Tom the most? What are the things that you go to Tom for? I mean, his real estate gym is a wonderful training program, as we know. But that personal relationship, when do you pick up the phone and say, hey, Tom, I need your help? What do you think here? Is that something you do regularly?
Oh, look, recently me and Tom speak almost every day. And I think it goes without saying, I don't think I'd be the person or even the real estate agent that I am today without Tom, his advice. The real estate gym, I suppose when I first started in real estate, I think I used all my commission for that 1 month, couple of $100 to sign up to Tom's gym. Famous story, when I met Tom, I was at the Virgin Lounge heading to Aric, I think in 2017 or 18, and sort of crash tackled him. And I said, Tom, you got to get me on your gym one day. And he said to me, how much do you write? I had no idea. And I said, if I write $1 million, will you put me on? He goes, yep. And then I wrote 1.17 in my first year. So I think that the people and the connections Tom has, he's talking to the best of the best. He coaches the best of the best. Success leaves clues. So for me, in my first, when I first started in sales, signed up to the gym, used to watch all of the agent interview videos. I remember vividly, Adrian Bowe, John McGrath, Matt Steinwade, Stefan Bertram, Dib Chidiac, mate of mine, Pete Diamantidis. I used to watch all those videos of Tom really unpacking, peeling back the onion of why they're successful. And I used to say to myself, if I can implement 1 or 2 things from each of those people, put my own spin on things with the advice on Tom, all the scripts, all the dialogues, how to close, how to market, how to vendor condition, I could be a half decent agent. So definitely, very much a product of Tom and the real estate gym. I can't endorse that place enough. A lot of my content's on there, but as I said, I'm just trying to give back when a lot of people gave me advice. But yeah, me and Tom speak most days, exchange text messages. This is what I'm doing today. What's your thoughts? And I think someone who's been there, done that, had offices himself, speaks to the best of the best. That's where I get, I'd say 90% of my advice.
Yeah, wonderful. I guess it's taking Tom's experience and just harnessing that experience and running with it. Hey, Tom, I'm really intrigued. Josh obviously relies on you, not heavily. I mean, he's obviously an impressive. Geez, I'm almost 50. I can say an impressive young man. I shouldn't say that. No, but you're half my bloody age, which is a bit concerning. Are there times when you go? Have you learnt from Josh, Tom? Is there times where you go to Josh and think, hey, you know what, because it really is a relationship should be 2-way. Have you found that?
1,000,000%. I mean, the issue is my model, Mark, like yourself, and I think that we're both in an industry that we provide services to an industry, and like you've sold and listed real estate, and so have I. And I think that one of the advantages I've had in education versus a lot of other education options is that, I've run a business. I'm still, doing 8-9 auctions every Saturday, vendor meetings, buyer meetings. But I've actually found that a lot of the education that I curate and provide comes from the agents. And a lot of people say, but hang on a second, Tom, you're ripping off and duplicating content and putting it out there, which is sort of true. I mean, and Josh is one of those content creators now for me. But very often, Mark, what I do is I edit that content because my expertise is training and development, and I'm able to take Josh Tesolin and then get that content, which I do use. And I've got to tell you, when you say, how does Josh help me these days? Well, the truth is that if you're doing, 150 deals or whatever you're doing in a year, right? There's 150 pieces of content, dialogue, templates, scripts that are currently being used in the marketplace that I can work with and say, hey, this is hitting the spot. We're in COVID-19 and there's a buyer that's saying, I'm worried there's a September cliff. What is Josh saying in those situations? So I take relevant content because, Mark, with content, it's a bit like milk and cheese. It has expiry dates, and what worked in 2018 may not be relevant in July 2020. And that's how I rely. I rely on people that are at grassroots getting the deals done. I'm not picking up some old textbook from Tom Hopkins that, was preaching to people, 20, 30 years ago, or I'm not getting an operations manual from a franchise head that wrote out a training syllabus, 5 years ago. I'm getting stuff that's working with buyers and sellers right now in this market under these conditions.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's a really good point, and I can relate to that at Rate My Agent. A lot of people think that, we've built this platform and it's a great platform and who thought of all these ideas? And my answer is, it's the agents, it's the industry. I mean, we just adapt in response to what agents tell us that they want, or when we hear their pain points, and I can really relate to that, because from our point of view, we do exactly the same thing. I mean, the agents themselves and the people at the coalface are the best people to guide, the development of our platform, and no doubt, great to guide you and give you insights as to what's going on in the market.
Well said.
Hey, Josh, I think everyone would love to hear this. So, I'm really curious as to how you pitch to win business, and look, we've only got a few minutes to do this, and we've got some time for questions at the end of this. So if anyone's listening, watching and got questions, feel free to put them on chat or the Q&A in here. But what is the pitch, and specifically, what's the importance around the customer reviews and that customer satisfaction piece involved in that pitch as well?
Yeah, I suppose I'm relatively new in the industry. I've just signed up, obviously, with Ray White, and I'm now a principal and director, and I've got my own office, and I'm, got my own team, but I don't have 35, 40 years experience. Most of my competitors, they've, double my age. They've been in the industry. So I feel that Rate My Agent, for me, I'd go into the appointment, I'd go into the listing, I'd assess their motivation. You've definitely decided to sell. Yes, I have. Beautiful, high energy, eye contact, obviously tonality up and down. Once I get to the core, I go through the process, step A, off market, we launch it to the market, plan B, plan C, what happens if it fails. And then I'd probably say half, 50 to 60% of my listing presentation is recommendations. Because as you guys said before, everyone can talk, not everyone can show. And I feel when you're in a listing appointment, you're obviously trying to convince a vendor or potential vendor to list their property with you. So I'll sit down and I say, this is my amount of sales that I've done in the last 6 months, which has been 99, or in the last 12 months, which has been 168. Now, anyone can sell a property. You could sell your own property, Mark. However, are you going to have a good experience is another scenario. So I would say, look, I've got 168 sales. I've got 168 vendor testimonials. I'd like to run through a few with you. Is that okay? I'll have the screenshots of the area. So I screenshot the area. I blur out the competitors and I'll say, look, Quakers Hill, I've sold 112 in the last 12 months. The next competitor sold 20. I've got 100% reviews from my vendors. Here's a video testimonial, which is new on Rate My Agent now too. We can upload the video testimonial from the client. And I'll say, look, this is what I sold. Here's the photo. Here's the review. And here's their video. And I think that builds a lot of traction with people because it's what they're saying. It's real. It's authentic. And that builds a lot of rapport. If someone's having a good experience with me and 168 times, it's going to improve my chances of signing the listing. So Rate My Agent, as I said, lots of screenshots. I've got the top 20 printed out. I've got, I always have an icebreaker photo when I won on stage and famously you're laughing and I've got the trophy and I'm like that with the trophy, mate. And people love it. And then I ask the question, are you happy for me to be your agent? And I smile, I wait, they look at each other and say yes. And then we sign it up.
Yeah. It's a really simple thing, isn't it? Ask the question. a lot of people just fail to ask the bloody question at the end of the day. And
I think as well, it's important. Well, I ask for the review in the listing presentation as well. Before I've even listed it, before I've even sold it, before we've even got the sticker on the board, I'll say to them, Tom, if I sell your property and I get you a great result and you're over the moon, you're ecstatic, or even if I get the place sold and, you're happy with the service that I provided, you'd be happy to write me a review, wouldn't you? Yes, I would. Get them saying yes over and over. And then the reminder comes, hey guys, we're putting the sold sticker up tomorrow. Let's celebrate. Can I send you that review through at 5 p.m. when it sells? And could you complete that for me? Yes, I could. The next day, if it's not sold or it's not completed, I'll say, hey guys, I'd love to share your review with my next vendor, to share the positive experience that you had. Do you mind filling it out by, 12 o'clock? Yes, I will. Send the reminder. A great thing about Rate My Agent as well, you can send it via email or put their mobile to get it on their phone. So it's not like you have to go through 50 or 60 steps. It's literally there. It's straight in front of them. They can punch in a few things in a text and it goes straight to my profile. And there's no doubt, again, without Tom's training, without this review platform, I don't think I would have catapulted to the amount of success in such a short amount of time like I did.
Yeah, wonderful. It's just that old thing, isn't it? Just following up.
Yep.
Follow up. Not leaving sleeping dogs lie. Just following up and crossing it off your list and moving on to the next thing. Tommy, Are you seeing similar things? You obviously talk to a lot of people. I know when we started Rate My Agent that the review thing was. A lot of people feared feedback, I think, and losing control of it. Are you hearing similar experiences to Josh across the market?
Yeah. So if you, Mark, for one moment, if you just pictured yourself as being a vendor that was about to put their property on the market and Josh pretty much had come over, people don't realize in that 1 minute conversation, this is what I analyze. If I'm like one of these if you're a sports commentator and you press the replay button and you say, let's have a look at what's happened here. Like I think rugby league uses Peter Sterling, AFL have got other, this is what he's done. Let's analyze it. First, he's got energy, right? So that energy is flowing. It's a bit like electricity, or it's a bit like the wind. It's there. You can't sort of touch it, but you can feel it. The second thing is, he's actually using social proof, which is pretty much what your business is all about. Social proof from other consumers, right? Social proof from other consumers. So we clearly know that the world we live in now is called the consumer economy. It no longer matters what you say to the market. What matters is what the market says to the market. Right? So what he's doing is he's facilitating and saying, hey, look at what others are doing. So there's consumerism there. There's social proof in there. There's case studies of other properties there. So the truth is you've got this combination and then he carries it beautifully with a simple, make it easy for them to say yes, which is pretty much what the old Americans called the close. So he's put all that done seamlessly. It is pretty irresistible. So if you're an agent up against him, you've got to be damn good to be able to overcome everything that he's talked about.
Overcome that.
Yeah.
It's interesting, I've often said to people, it's a little bit like when you walk down a street and you see two restaurants and one hasn't got anyone in it and the other one's packed.
Yep.
Even though you're going to wait in line and know it's going to take longer to get dinner, you'll go to the one that's packed because you feel more comfortable knowing that you're doing what other people have done and you're expecting to get a similar experience to them. And that's social proof, feeling more comfortable, I think.
I did it this morning, Mark, because I'm in Terrigal and I don't live around here and I wanted to get a coffee and there was two places. One had a queue of people and one had no one in there. The truth is, it was simpler for me to go where there was no one being served. But my head went into automatic pilot. They're here. Coffee must be good. They're locals. They're coming here because it's better. So pay the price and get in line and stay in line and do the right thing, not the easy thing. And that's what I did. And was the coffee good? Let me think. Yes, it was okay.
No doubt. But like you said, the locals know where to go. Follow the locals. I mean, that's they've had an experience, and you're expecting to get a good experience. Josh, we've got a question here. If someone were to be just entering the industry.
Yep.
What are your three must-dos, top three must-dos for someone who's just entering the industry?
Yeah, start on social media. I think the sooner you can do that, get your face out there on live video, talking about the market, talking about the houses you've got for sale, potentially in the office, or the buyers that you've got. That's crucial. We're in the digital age now where people love seeing people on video. It's almost like during COVID, everyone was glued to the TV with the Premier and Scott Morrison. You've got to become the local expert. I believe self-brand, that's a big thing as well. The sooner you can become familiar in your area with your face, your number, the brand that you work for. If you're allowed to push that, I think that's a massive thing. And I think the last thing, must-dos, is probably fail more. I think the more you fail, the more you learn. With me, like I famously tell the story, I probably missed my first 20 listings when I went to them. I failed. I lost it on commission. I lost it to price. I lost it to process. I had to learn why. Failing more. A lot of people in our industry are scared to pick up the phone because they're scared someone's going to tell them to, get lost, or they're scared to knock on the door because someone's going to slam it in their face. It's a numbers game in this industry. The more appointments you do, the more people you meet, the more people you're in front of, the more business you're going to get, the more reviews you're going to get, the more boards you're going to get, the more business, and the bigger career and more GCI you're going to hit. So I feel those three things were fundamental in my career. And if someone was starting, I'd start straight away, hard, reinvest in yourself, and suffer in the interim to have a long-term success.
Yeah, it's a really good point. That failing a lot. I mean, they're the best lessons you ever learn. You learn so much from the failures. Hey, Tom, we've got an interesting question here, which is interesting. I don't think I can provide that level of energy 24/7. There's probably not many people who can provide that level of Josh's energy. I know I'm tired just looking at him sometimes. So it's just not in my nature. This question comes through. So does that mean I can never be hugely successful if you don't have that level of energy? What are your thoughts?
No, not at all. Because what I would say is that what you want to do is work your strengths and outsource your weakness. Now, Josh is obviously a person who has energy that's expressed externally. Just because you don't express it externally doesn't mean that you don't have a high level of energy of wanting someone's business, a high level of energy of doing the right thing, a higher level of energy on a Monday morning when you wake up and having a spring in your step to work. So you don't have to feel like, hey, my personality is not like Josh's. If you do simple personality tests, whether you're using Myers-Briggs or, the DISC system, you'll know that people's styles are different. I suppose when I'm using the word energy myself, when we categorized Josh, we're talking about, how badly is he in love with the work that he does, right? And if you're not in love with it, that becomes a problem, because I'm telling you, Mark, you're going to go from the heights of exhilaration to the depths of depression in 24 hours in our business. Yeah. And Josh used a thing where you learn a lot in your failures. I agree. You want to succeed, fail faster. You got to make rejection your best friend. But I would say to the person that's written that question, don't confuse love for the industry with personality style. We know Josh is the Muhammad Ali of real estate agents. I'm going to do this. That's his approach. You know what it is. That's his approach. You can still be a great boxer, win titles, and actually have a different personality style. I think at the end of the day, what people are dying for is someone to do a damn good, proper job with brutal honesty, and Josh does that.
Yeah, beautiful. Got another question here from Lucy. I haven't read it yet. So when you're a busy, successful agent, how do you respond to vendors who may be concerned you are too busy to that's a good question. So who are concerned that you're too busy to focus on their listing with 100% concentration? That's a really good question.
Yeah, great question. And I suppose it's a familiar one because lots of potential vendors ask me that. And I suppose my response is, if I'm doing more deals, that means I'm meeting more buyers, which means I've got more knowledge of the stock in the area. And if a client doesn't like a similar property that I've got on the market, I can put them straight to yours, opposed to an agent that's got a low level of stock and might give you, 10 hours of open homes homes and run 8 inspections per week, they don't have the buyers. They don't have the knowledge. When a buyer comes to me and says, you know, Josh, the house around the corner sold for $850 and you're asking $900. And I can say, well, look, I sold that property. It was on a smaller block. The finishes weren't to the same quality. This is why it's worth more. It's not on a main road. It's in the cul-de-sac. I can give them in-depth evidence again and information to get a higher price. And I suppose listing with the agent that's got higher volume, you're listing with the agent that's got more experience. They're doing it day in, day out. It's similar to going to the gym. You go to the gym every day, you're going to become more fit, and, you know, riding a bike's going to become easier, opposed to if you're selling one house a month, or, you know, one house every week, you're not going to be doing it as much, which means the negotiation isn't stronger. It's not flowing off the tongue. And as we know with negotiation, you've got to be short, sharp, to the point, get the deal done, and get the best price. So I think listing with a higher volume agent like myself works in their favor, not in their disadvantage.
Mark, can I just extend on that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Use it to your advantage, as Josh says, because here's a good piece of dialogue that I'd suggest anyone that's got a lot of stock and got a lot of market share to say to a vendor, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've got 50% market share in the area. Yes, I'm carrying a lot of stock to have that market share. What that basically means is anyone that's going to buy a home in Quakers Hill is going to eventually come and talk to me. They're going to ask me on what I think about the position. They're going to ask me what I think about the property. And I've got to let you know, the buyer that's going to buy your home will be having a conversation with me. I'd far rather have a conversation about your property with them, with me representing you, than me actually not representing you. Yep. Now, you don't say that in an aggressive, intimidating, threatening way. All you're doing is stating the facts that when you've got a big market share, you in fact do control the market in some regard. You know, people are going to come and seek your advice on things. So you can actually use it to your strength. And to the person that wrote that question in, the other perspective of it is that if you are carrying a lot of stock, hey, it is not going to take too much time, even if you're carrying 15 listings. 15 listings at 1 minute a phone call, even if you chose to speak to those people every day for 1 minute, we're actually not saying it's going to take too much longer than even, let's assume even if it went for half an hour, if you allocated into your diary and said daily callbacks to my vendors, and it was simply, hey Mark, Tom Panos here, promised to call you, here it is. We've had 7 people that have looked at your property virtually. We've had 1 look at it physically. We haven't got any offers. We're doing everything we can. Talk to you tomorrow. That's a 60-second conversation.
Yep.
Yeah, agree. I've often said to people, sometimes you just call people and you're essentially saying, I've got nothing to tell you other than I'm thinking of you. Yep. And that's what they want. They just want to know that they're being thought of.
Frequency
sorry?
Frequency builds trust. The more you talk to your vendor, the more you talk to your buyers, the more you talk to your clients. When you've got an offer that may, in a tougher market, be less than their expectations, they're going to listen to your advice. Opposed to, and as I said, like my time management skills, I work 7 days a week. You know, my hours, similar to what Tom said, Elon Musk hours, I'm doing over 100 hours a week. But my vendors still hear from me every single day. So do the buyers. Yeah. I've got a great assistant in Alex. He's come with me too on my new venture, and we work very well as a team. So the 2 of us doing big numbers, but frequency builds trust. Yeah,
beautiful. So we've got another question here. I'm a new agent and have no market share, no reviews. How will I ever make it based on what everyone is talking about now?
You want me to answer that?
You go first, Josh, and then maybe Tom can follow up.
Yeah, I'll go first, short, sharp and sweet. It all starts with 1. You get 1 sale, you get 1 review, you get 1 sold board, you leverage that to the next one and then the next one. So I wouldn't focus on 10 or 20. Tom knows famously when I started, I sold a duplex as one of my first houses, leveraged that into over 30 duplexes in the last 3 years. Then I dominated the townhouses. Then I got the singles, the doubles, and then the market's mine for the last 3 years. No one sold more, I think, in any suburb in the whole of Australia in 1 core suburb, 112 houses in the last 12 months. So I feel that it starts with 1. Don't get bogged down by thinking you need 20 or 30. Rome wasn't built in a day, and leverage from there.
And you said you missed out on the first 20. So, you know, the first one might take 6 months to come. Yep. Tom, what are your thoughts?
Well said, Josh. Number 1, to the person that wrote that, never compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 10, because that person that you're talking about that's got the reviews, that's got the sales, that's got the listings, actually walked your path. At one stage, they had 0. You need to understand, they didn't come to real estate with reviews already on their first day. They didn't come into real estate with listings. Number 2, understand there's short game, long game. Short game is immediate seller appointments, which come through things like chasing expired listings, withdrawn listings, making sure that you've got some really powerful marketing material that gets calls coming in, helping buyers transition them from a buyer to then becoming a potential seller. That's short game. Then you've got what I call long game. Long game is building your personal brand, building an array of fans that want to refer business to you, and getting yourself out there in the marketplace. Short game is actually got immediate results, but far more harder. Long game is going to set yourself up for a long-term career in real estate. So please, to the person that's written that question, understand the first 2 to 3 years should be considered doing a bachelor's degree in real estate. You'll make some money, but you ain't going to make a lot of money. You've got to put in the foundations and understand that as Josh said, Rome wasn't built in a day, but as far as I'm concerned, in 3 years' time, you can be earning $200,000, $300,000 a year. Most people that complete a bachelor's degree in economics or teaching are going to be earning $70,000 or $80,000 at the end of it. Pay the price; it's worth it. Get in line, stay in line.
I think Tom said it a while ago. We are the hardest and the highest paying hard work and the lowest paying no work. And I think that resonates with me all the time.
Yeah, Reno's just said, thank you so much for that. Really supportive and looking forward to moving forward. We've just got, I'll do one last question and then we'll close off, because we'd like to wrap these things up in half an hour. But this is to you, Josh. How do you manage your database and how much time do you spend nurturing your database?
Yeah, every day. I think if you stop, it's like a fuel in the car. You don't put the fuel or charge the electric car, it's not going to go. So database, I work very much in the heat. Something sells, everyone's got to know. Something, lists for sale, everyone's got to know. I think it's the abundance mentality. I'm not just doing one thing. I'm doing a lot of things, keeping in contact with my database. I've got a text message system. I'm not big on CRMs. Every time, a comparable, if you owned a 4-bedroom home, and so did Tom, you guys would hear from me if you're in my local area. I've just sold this property. I had X amount of buyers, 30 people came, 29 have missed out. Would you sell at the right price? Again, giving them information, asking the question, would you sell at the right price? And then eventually, as I said, frequency builds trust. If you're selling your house, you'll definitely know me in the area. You'll see my boards. I'll be door knocking. You'll see my flyers. You'll see me at the schools. You'll see me at the sporting clubs. So I feel that, it's an abundance mentality, but work in the heat. How often do we see in real estate, there's a street where there's been no sales for 3 years, one signboard goes up, and then all of a sudden there's 5 signboards on the street. So I feel that, it's extremely important to do that. Keep in contact with your database.
Beautiful. Lucy just said, thanks guys, amazing answers. So that has been fantastic. I might leave it with just one last question. Tom, I'll come to you first. It's just a very simple question. What does the future hold? What does the next 12 months look like for you and the market?
All my energies after March the 8th, and I've had a personal belief, Mark, and we had this conversation off air, that communication, consumption of learning, training, education, or even meetings for that matter, can be done through video. We have learned you don't necessarily have to go into a room with 300 people that you might not actually like that much anyway. Sit in a room, look for parking for 25 minutes, go in there and lose, half a day at a workshop when you can actually have that done online. Real Estate Gym for me has now become my biggest priority. I've got aspirations. I've got a lot of members in the UK, the US. I'm very keen to do what you've done with the USA. As you said, my competition is in the States. Between Tom Ferry and myself, we constantly are changing spots in terms of engagements with real estate agents across the world. And that's where I got my set sign. So it's very much online, subscription-based training using video.
And I think that's right. I mean, for us in our business, that just this whole COVID thing, yes, there's been some negatives, but there's also been some positives, and opening up the whole, like, it doesn't matter where anyone is in the world now, you can sell to someone, you can meet with someone, you can speak to someone. It really accelerated this sort of whole Zoom world. So there's some great positives there. For you, Josh, what does the future look like for you? Another back-to-back win? Is that what we're aiming for? What's the future hold?
Absolutely, mate. Back-to-back. I think, everyone can do something once, but to repeat the feat under a new banner, under a new brand, with a new team, it means a lot more now. Obviously, owning a business, having a new team with new goals, I think it's super exciting. So I feel like the shackles are off, and I'm unchained and ready to go. So back to back, building a team of young agents similar to myself that are doing good things on social media, doing the right thing by clients, and having a really good culture. I think a culture is what keeps clients and keeps staff members happy. Like Rate My Agent and the real estate gym culture are fantastic. A lot of people can reach out to others and, not have, fear of disappointment or missing out. So creating a culture is big. Goals wise, I'm looking to do the most sales in Sydney. I've done 99 since January 1. I've got 8 listings launching next week. I've signed up 10. I've got another 9 signing up in the coming weeks. So showing everyone that I can't just do it as a sales agent. I can do it as a director, build a good culture, back-to-back 2021, Rate My Agent, #1 in Australia again. And keep motivating people and doing good things. That's the goals.
Beautiful. Well, hey guys, thank you so much. The last comment that's come through from Susan, no question, just wanted to say thanks, guys. Another great session, and it was. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. And we'll talk to you soon.
You know what it is? Sign up to the real estate gym.
Thank you. See you.
See you.